Imagine if there was one simple, powerful ingredient that could switch your hair follicles back on, make hair grow faster and thicker, and dramatically reduce hair fall. Not a drug, not an expensive treatment, just one natural tool that most people completely overlook. If your hair is thinning, shedding, or growing painfully slow, stay with me, because this may be the most important thing you learn about hair health. Here's the big mistake people make with hair loss. They focus only on the hair itself, shampoos, oils, serums, gadgets. But hair is not the problem. Hair is a symptom. Hair follicles are living mini organs, and when they don't get what they need, they shut down. When they do get what they need, hair grows like crazy. Now let's talk about the strongest ingredient for hair growth, one that directly feeds the follicle, strengthens the root, and helps stop hair from falling out. That ingredient is zinc. Zinc is not just a mineral, it is a master regulator for hair follicles. Your hair follicle is one of the fastest growing tissues in the body, which means it needs intense cellular activity. Zinc is essential for cell division, protein synthesis, and DNA repair. Without zinc, hair growth slows down. With optimal zinc, follicles wake up. Here's something shocking. Zinc deficiency is one of the most common hidden causes of hair loss worldwide. You can be eating enough calories and still be severely low in zinc. When zinc levels drop, the hair follicle goes into a resting phase. That's when shedding increases and regrowth stops. Zinc also controls a key hormone related to hair loss called DHT. High DHT shrinks hair follicles over time, especially on the scalp. Zinc naturally helps block excessive DHT activity at the follicle level. That means stronger roots and thicker hair shafts. Another critical role of zinc is oil gland balance. At the base of each hair follicle is a sebaceous gland that produces oil to protect the hair. Zinc helps regulate this gland. Too little zinc can lead to a dry scalp, brittle hair, or even excessive oil that clogs follicles. Balanced zinc equals a healthy scalp environment where hair can thrive. Now let's go even deeper. Zinc is essential for keratin production. Keratin is the main structural protein in hair. If your body can't make keratin efficiently, your hair becomes weak, thin, and prone to breakage. Adding more protein to your diet won't fix this if zinc is missing. Zinc is the switch that allows keratin to be built correctly. This is why people with low zinc often notice hair that snaps easily, grows unevenly, or looks dull and lifeless. Once zinc levels improve, hair texture often changes first, then density, then length. Here's another powerful benefit. Zinc supports immune function in the scalp. Many people have low-grade inflammation around hair follicles without realizing it. Inflammation quietly damages follicles and pushes hair into the shedding phase. Zinc calms this inflammation and supports tissue repair. Now let's talk about how to use zinc correctly, because this part matters. More is not better. Too much zinc can interfere with other minerals like copper. The goal is balance. Food is the best place to start. Some of the richest natural sources of zinc include pumpkin seeds, red meat, shellfish, eggs, and cheese. Pumpkin seeds are especially powerful because they also contain compounds that support hormone balance in the scalp. A small handful daily can make a noticeable difference over time. If you choose a supplement, keep it moderate. Zinc picolinate or zinc citrate are well-absorbed forms. Many people do well in the range of 15 to 30 milligrams per day, taken with food. Consistency is far more important than high doses. Here's something most people don't connect to hair loss. Stress. Chronic stress depletes zinc rapidly. Stress hormones increase zinc excretion from the body. This is why hair loss often shows up months after a stressful period. Supporting zinc levels helps protect hair follicles during stress. Zinc also works best when paired with other nutrients. Vitamin B6 helps zinc enter cells. Adequate protein provides the building blocks for hair, and healthy fats support hormone balance. Hair growth is a system, and zinc is one of the strongest drivers in that system. Now let's be realistic. Hair doesn't grow overnight. Hair follicles cycle slowly, but many people notice reduced shedding within a few weeks of correcting zinc deficiency. New growth often appears as fine baby hairs along the hairline or part line within 2 to 3 months. Thickness and strength continue to improve over time. One more important point. If you have digestive issues, low stomach acid, or gut inflammation, you may not absorb zinc properly. In that case, fixing digestion becomes part of fixing hair loss. Your body has to be able to use what you give it. So if your hair is falling out, thinning, or refusing to grow, don't just treat the surface. Feed the follicle. Support the root. Give your body the strongest ingredient it needs to turn hair growth back on. If this information helped you, make sure to like the video, share it with someone struggling with hair loss, and subscribe for more simple, science-based health tips. I'll see you in the next video. Most people don't realize that hair follicles are not passive. They are highly active living structures that require constant cellular energy, rapid cell division, and precise nutrient signals to stay in the growth phase. When those signals disappear, the follicle doesn't die, it simply goes dormant. And this is where zinc becomes incredibly powerful, because zinc is one of the main switches that tells a hair follicle to grow. Your hair follicle is one of the fastest dividing tissues in the entire body, faster than skin, faster than nails. That means it has extremely high demands for nutrients involved in cell replication and repair. Zinc is absolutely critical for this process. Without enough zinc, the enzymes responsible for cell division slow down, DNA replication becomes inefficient, and the follicle cannot produce new hair fibers at a healthy rate. When this happens, hair growth stalls and shedding increases. Zinc plays a direct role in activating over 300 enzymes in the body, many of which are involved in tissue growth and repair. Inside the hair follicle, these enzymes regulate how often cells divide, how well they repair damage, and how efficiently they produce keratin. When zinc is low, the follicle enters a conservation mode. It reduces activity, shortens the growth phase, and pushes hair into the resting phase much sooner than it should. This is why zinc deficiency is strongly associated with a condition called telogen effluvium, where large amounts of hair suddenly shed. The follicle isn't being destroyed, it's being forced into rest because it doesn't have the resources to keep growing hair. Another critical function of zinc is its role in protein synthesis. Hair is made almost entirely of keratin, a structural protein. But protein alone is not enough. You can eat all the protein you want, but without zinc, your body cannot efficiently convert amino acids into keratin. Zinc is required at multiple steps in this process. It helps activate the genes responsible for keratin production and stabilizes the structure of the keratin protein itself. When zinc levels are optimal, the hair shaft becomes thicker, stronger, and more resistant to brea. When zinc is low, hair becomes fragile, thin, and prone to snapping. Many people think their hair is falling out at the root, when in reality it is breaking along the shaft due to weak keratin structure caused by zinc deficiency. Zinc also plays a key role in stem cell activity within the hair follicle. At the base of every follicle are stem cells responsible for regenerating new hair cycles. These stem cells are extremely sensitive to nutrient deficiencies. Zinc is required for their activation and proper differentiation. When zinc is present, stem cells receive the signal to divide and create new hair-producing cells. When zinc is absent, those stem cells remain inactive. This is one reason why zinc can appear to wake up dormant follicles. The follicle was never dead. It was simply missing the signal it needed to restart growth. Another overlooked aspect is zinc's role in oxygen delivery to hair follicles. Zinc supports proper red blood cell formation and helps maintain healthy blood flow. Hair follicles need a constant supply of oxygen and nutrients. Poor circulation starves follicles, slowing growth. Zinc indirectly improves follicle oxygenation by supporting healthy blood components and reducing oxidative stress in blood vessels. Oxidative stress is another silent killer of hair follicles. Free radicals damage follicle cells, disrupt DNA, and accelerate follicle aging. Zinc is a powerful antioxidant mineral. It stabilizes cell membranes and protects follicle cells from oxidative damage. This protection allows follicles to stay in the growth phase longer and produce healthier hair fibers. Zinc also supports collagen production around the follicle. Collagen forms the structural support that anchors the hair root in place. Weak collagen leads to loose follicles and increased shedding. Zinc activates enzymes involved in collagen synthesis and tissue remodeling. Stronger collagen means stronger roots and better hair retention. Now let's talk about the scalp environment. Because hair follicles don't exist in isolation, zinc helps maintain a healthy scalp by regulating cell turnover. Without zinc, dead skin cells accumulate, pores clog, and follicles become blocked. This can suffocate the follicle and interfere with hair emergence. With adequate zinc, scalp skin renews itself properly, keeping follicles open and functional. Zinc also helps regulate the immune activity in the scalp. Many forms of hair loss involve low-grade inflammation around the follicle. This inflammation damages follicle cells and disrupts the hair cycle. Zinc calms excessive immune responses and supports proper healing. A calm scalp is a fertile environment for hair growth. One of the most fascinating roles of zinc is how it influences the hair growth cycle itself. Hair grows in phases: growth, transition, rest, and shedding. Zinc helps extend the growth phase. When zinc is deficient, the growth phase shortens, meaning hair falls out sooner and grows back thinner. Restoring zinc helps normalize the cycle, allowing hair to grow longer before shedding. This is why people often notice less hair in the shower or on their pillow after correcting zinc levels. The follicles are no longer being pushed prematurely into rest. Zinc deficiency doesn't always show up in blood tests. Blood levels are tightly regulated, even when tissue levels are low. This means many people are functionally deficient without knowing it. Hair follicles are often one of the first tissues to suffer because hair growth is not essential for survival. The body prioritizes zinc for vital organs, leaving hair follicles undernourished. Diet plays a huge role here. Modern diets are often low in zinc due to processed foods, refined grains, and poor soil quality. Even people who eat healthy may not get enough bioavailable zinc. Phytates found in grains and legumes can block zinc absorption. Chronic stress further depletes zinc, pulling it away from hair follicles to support stress hormone production. Digestive health also matters. Low stomach acid, gut inflammation, or malabsorption can prevent zinc from being absorbed properly. In these cases, even a zinc-rich diet may not be enough unless digestion is addressed. When zinc intake and absorption improve, hair follicles respond gradually but powerfully. First, shedding slows. Then hair texture improves. Then new growth begins. Tiny hairs appear along the scalp where follicles were previously inactive. Over time, these hairs thicken and lengthen as the follicle regains full function. This process takes patience because hair grows slowly, but the biological changes inside the follicle begin much sooner. Zinc starts working at the cellular level almost immediately, repairing DNA, activating enzymes, and restoring follicle activity. The key takeaway is this: hair loss is often not a mystery. It is a signal of a deeper deficiency. Zinc is one of the most important nutrients for turning hair growth back on because it addresses the root cause at the follicle level. It supports cell division, keratin production, stem cell activation, antioxidant protection, collagen formation, and immune balance all at the same time. When you give your hair follicles what they truly need, they respond. Not with gimmicks or surface treatments, but with real biological growth. That's why zinc is not just helpful for hair, it is foundational. One of the biggest misunderstandings about hair loss is the belief that it's only about genetics or age. In reality, two silent forces drive most hair loss behind the scenes: excessive DHT activity and chronic inflammation around the hair follicle. And this is where zinc becomes one of the most powerful natural tools for protecting your hair. Let's start with DHT. DHT is a hormone derived from testosterone. It's not inherently bad. In fact, it plays important roles in the body. The problem begins when DHT becomes excessive or when hair follicles become overly sensitive to it. DHT binds to receptors in the hair follicle and gradually causes the follicle to shrink. As the follicle shrinks, each new hair becomes thinner, shorter, and weaker, until eventually the follicle stops producing visible hair. Zinc helps control this process in a very specific way. Zinc naturally inhibits an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. This enzyme is responsible for converting testosterone into DHT. When zinc levels are adequate, this conversion is moderated. The body still produces DHT, but not in excessive amounts that overwhelm the hair follicle. This is important because completely blocking DHT is not healthy. The goal is balance. Zinc does not shut DHT down completely. It simply prevents the overproduction that leads to follicle miniaturization. This makes zinc fundamentally different from aggressive pharmaceutical approaches that can create other problems in the body. Another critical point is that zinc also reduces the sensitivity of hair follicles to DHT. Even if DHT levels are normal, inflamed or damaged follicles can overreact to it. Zinc stabilizes the follicle environment, making it more resilient and less reactive to hormonal signals that trigger shrinkage. Now let's talk about inflammation, because this is a massive but often ignored factor in hair loss. Inflammation around the follicle disrupts blood flow, damages follicle cells, and shortens the hair growth phase. Over time, chronic inflammation can permanently weaken follicles. Zinc is one of the body's most important anti-inflammatory minerals. It helps regulate immune cell activity and prevents excessive inflammatory signaling. In the scalp, this means zinc helps calm the immune response around the follicle, allowing it to heal and function normally. Many people have scalp inflammation without visible symptoms. No redness, no itching, no pain. But under the surface, inflammatory chemicals are damaging follicle cells and interfering with hair growth. Zinc works quietly at the cellular level to shut down this inflammatory cascade. Zinc also helps protect hair follicles from oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is caused by free radicals that damage cells and accelerate aging. Hair follicles are particularly vulnerable to oxidative damage because of their high metabolic activity. Zinc acts as a stabilizer, protecting follicle cell membranes and DNA from damage. Less damage means stronger follicles and longer-lasting hair growth. There's another layer to this. Inflammation and DHT actually feed each other. High DHT can increase inflammation in the scalp, and inflammation can increase follicle sensitivity to DHT. This creates a vicious cycle that accelerates hair loss. Zinc helps break this cycle by addressing both sides at the same time. Zinc also supports healthy blood flow to the scalp. Inflammation often constricts blood vessels, reducing oxygen and nutrient delivery to hair follicles. By calming inflammation, zinc helps restore proper circulation. Better blood flow means follicles get the fuel they need to stay active and productive. Now let's talk about the oil glands connected to your hair follicles. These glands produce sebum, which protects and lubricates the hair. When zinc is low, sebum production becomes unbalanced. This can lead to either excessive oil, which clogs follicles, or dryness, which damages the scalp barrier. Both conditions increase inflammation and hair shedding. Zinc helps normalize oil gland function. Balanced sebum keeps the scalp protected without clogging follicles. This creates an ideal environment for hair growth and reduces the risk of follicle irritation. Zinc deficiency is strongly linked to dandruff and other scalp conditions, many of which involve inflammation. When these conditions improve, hair growth often improves as well. That's not a coincidence. It's a direct result of reduced inflammation and improved follicle health. Another overlooked role of zinc is its effect on immune-related hair loss. In some people, the immune system mistakenly targets hair follicles. Zinc helps regulate immune tolerance, reducing inappropriate immune attacks on follicle tissue. This doesn't mean zinc is a cure for immune-related hair loss, but it can be a powerful supportive factor in protecting follicles. Stress plays a huge role here as well. Chronic stress increases both inflammation and DHT activity. Stress hormones push the body into a survival mode, diverting nutrients away from hair growth and increasing inflammatory signals. Zinc helps buffer the effects of stress by supporting adrenal function and reducing stress-induced inflammation. When zinc levels are restored, many people notice their scalp feels calmer. Less tightness, less sensitivity, less itching. These subtle changes often come before visible hair regrowth. A calm scalp is a sign that the inflammatory environment is improving. Now let's address something important. Zinc does not work in isolation. It interacts with other nutrients involved in hormone balance and inflammation control. Vitamin B6 enhances zinc's ability to regulate hormones. Healthy fats help stabilize cell membranes. Adequate protein supports tissue repair. Zinc acts as the conductor that helps these nutrients work together effectively. Consistency is critical. Hormonal and inflammatory changes don't happen overnight. But with steady zinc intake, the internal environment gradually shifts. DHT activity becomes more balanced. Inflammation decreases. Follicles spend more time in the growth phase and less time in the shedding phase. Many people first notice less hair in the drain or on their brush. That's often the earliest sign that zinc is doing its job. Over time, hair shafts become thicker and more resilient because follicles are no longer under constant hormonal and inflammatory attack. One of the most powerful things about zinc is that it supports hair without forcing the body into an unnatural state. It works with the body's natural regulatory systems. That's why it tends to be well tolerated and effective for long-term use when used responsibly. The big takeaway here is simple but profound. Hair loss accelerates when follicles are under hormonal stress and inflammatory pressure. Zinc reduces both. By moderating DHT activity and calming inflammation, zinc protects hair follicles from shrinking, weakening, and shutting down. When follicles are protected, they can focus on what they're designed to do, grow hair, and when the internal environment is right, hair growth becomes a natural outcome rather than a struggle. One of the most powerful but overlooked truths about hair growth is this: hair doesn't respond to short bursts of effort, it responds to consistency. And this is exactly where zinc becomes a long-term game changer for hair health. When zinc intake is steady and balanced, the scalp environment slowly shifts from one that promotes shedding to one that supports strong, continuous hair growth. Hair follicles operate on cycles that last months, not days. So when people try something for a week and give up, they never give the follicle time to respond. Zinc works at the root level, gradually restoring the biological systems that allow hair to grow thick and stay anchored in the scalp. The first major change that happens with consistent zinc intake is improved scalp balance. The scalp is skin, but it behaves differently than skin on the rest of the body. It has a high density of oil glands, blood vessels, and immune cells. When zinc is low, this balance is disrupted. The scalp may become too oily, too dry, or overly sensitive. All of these conditions interfere with healthy hair growth. Zinc helps normalize scalp oil production by regulating sebaceous gland activity. Balanced oil protects hair shafts, prevents moisture loss, and keeps follicles from clogging. This alone can significantly reduce hair shedding over time. Many people notice their scalp feels healthier before they notice changes in hair growth. Another long-term benefit of zinc is its role in maintaining the scalp's protective barrier. The scalp barrier keeps irritants, microbes, and environmental toxins from triggering inflammation. Zinc supports skin repair and barrier integrity. When the barrier is strong, follicles are less likely to become irritated or inflamed. Zinc also supports the microbiome of the scalp. The scalp is home to beneficial microorganisms that help protect against harmful bacteria and fungi. When zinc levels are low, this balance can shift, increasing the risk of scalp conditions that contribute to hair loss. Consistent zinc intake helps maintain a healthier microbial balance, indirectly supporting hair growth. Now let's talk about shedding, because this is what most people fear the most. Hair shedding increases when follicles enter the resting phase too early. Zinc helps extend the growth phase by supporting the energy needs of the follicle and stabilizing the hair cycle. Over time, this results in fewer hairs entering the shedding phase at once. This doesn't mean you'll stop shedding hair completely. Shedding is normal. But excessive shedding is often a sign that follicles are under stress. Zinc helps relieve that stress at the cellular level. Consistency also matters because zinc stores in the body are limited. The body doesn't stockpile zinc the way it does some other nutrients. Daily intake is important to maintain adequate levels in tissues like the scalp. Sporadic supplementation won't have the same effect as steady intake. Food sources of zinc are especially powerful because they come with supporting nutrients. Pumpkin seeds provide zinc along with healthy fats and plant compounds that support hormone balance. Eggs provide zinc along with biotin and sulfur-containing amino acids essential for hair structure. Red meat and shellfish provide highly bioavailable zinc that the body can use efficiently. When supplementation is used, form and dosage matter. Moderate amounts taken consistently are more effective than high doses taken occasionally. Zinc works best when it's part of a broader nutritional foundation, not a quick fix. Another critical long-term benefit of zinc is its effect on collagen and connective tissue around the follicle. Hair follicles are anchored in a network of collagen fibers that keep them stable. When this support weakens, hair sheds more easily. Zinc supports collagen synthesis and tissue repair, gradually strengthening the follicle's anchor over time. Zinc also supports nerve signaling in the scalp. Healthy nerve function is important for proper blood flow and nutrient delivery to follicles. Chronic nutrient deficiencies can impair this communication. Zinc helps restore proper signaling, improving the follicle's responsiveness to growth signals. Stress management plays a huge role in whether zinc can do its job. Chronic stress depletes zinc and increases hair shedding. Consistent zinc intake helps buffer the effects of stress, but works best when stress levels are also addressed through sleep, breathing, and lifestyle habits. Hair growth is not just about nutrients, it's about the environment in which those nutrients are used. Hydration also matters. Zinc-dependent enzymes function best in a well-hydrated body. Dehydration thickens the blood and reduces nutrient delivery to the scalp. Over time, this can blunt the benefits of zinc. Simple habits like drinking enough water support zinc's effectiveness. One of the most encouraging things about zinc is that its benefits tend to compound over time. As shedding decreases, more follicles remain in the growth phase. As more follicles grow hair simultaneously, overall density improves. As hair shafts become stronger, breakage decreases. These small improvements add up. Many people notice baby hairs appearing along the hairline or crown after a few months of consistent zinc intake. These hairs often start thin, but as the follicle remains nourished, they thicken and mature. This is a sign that follicles are stabilizing and re-entering healthy growth cycles. It's important to understand that consistency doesn't mean excess. Taking too much zinc for too long can interfere with other minerals, particularly copper. Balance is key. The goal is to provide enough zinc to support hair growth without disrupting the body's natural mineral harmony. Long-term hair health also depends on digestion. Zinc absorption happens primarily in the small intestine. If digestion is compromised, zinc intake may not translate into tissue availability. Supporting gut health enhances zinc's effectiveness and ensures follicles receive the benefits. Over time, consistent zinc intake supports not just hair growth but hair quality. Hair becomes shinier, smoother, and more resilient. These changes reflect improved keratin structure and follicle health, not just surface effects. The deeper message here is that hair loss is rarely about a single event. It's about long-term imbalances. Zinc addresses one of the most common and impactful of those imbalances. When zinc intake is steady, the scalp environment becomes calmer, follicles become stronger, and hair growth becomes more reliable. There is no shortcut around time when it comes to hair. But there is a smarter path. Supporting the body consistently with the nutrients it needs allows hair to do what it's designed to do: grow, stay, and strengthen. And that's why zinc is not just a quick solution, it's a foundation. When you build that foundation and maintain it, the results tend to follow naturally.